Bookaholics, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm bringing you a TBR. I'm moving country. I've said this multiple times on this channel. I'm about to move. And with that comes the inevitable questioning all of the books that I own and should I be taking them across the continent with me. And some of those are a little bit on the chopping block. Some of those that I have not read. All of those are here. They've not been packed up yet because I don't know if they need packing. They might be just ones that end up in the charity shop. So we're going to go through all of the books that are on this potential list, and throughout May and June my aim is to try and get to as many of these as possible so that I can see if I should be taking them with me or leaving them behind. The aim of this TBR, so that at the beginning of every vlog, I don't need to go through all of the books that are on the shelves. These are the ones that are on the shelves, and then each vlog will just remove a couple of them, hopefully. So without further ado, let's actually get into the books. I'm going to be talking very briefly about the synopses. It will mostly be like buzzwords, and I'll also briefly mention why they're on here, but I'm going to try and keep this quick because as you can see, there's a fair few. On this top shelf, I literally have two series. I have the Game of Thrones series and the Discworld series. So far, neither of them have been such a strong installment that I cannot wait to get to the next one, and I need to own really chunky books or a million books. So we have the Game of Thrones series where I've read the first book, which means that I have books 2, 3, 4 and 5 to get through, 4 and 5 being split in two. So I have 7 books physically, 4 books technically to get through. So it would be at least to read 1 to see if I enjoy it enough to warrant keeping the series. I also have the companion novel, which is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is the Dunk and Egg story, which currently has a HBO adaptation. I've not watched it. I stopped watching Game of Thrones, so never really gotten back into this world, and I feel a little bit bitter about them, and that's I think another reason why they're on here. For Discworld, I am on Mort, which I've heard really good things about, so I'm hoping that I will like this more than I've liked the previous ones. So far I've enjoyed the first one and the third one. I really didn't enjoy the second one, but I'm hoping that as the series goes on I'll get more into it, but I need to actually get into the series to get further in to actually enjoy them. So I'm hoping Mort will do that for me, and if I read a couple of these and still don't like them, I probably will not be taking this many books with me to Scotland. Now we're going to continue on with these shelves. So I have put those 3 books, so the second Game of Thrones book, Dunk and Egg and Mort, all on this shelf because there's no point in having this shelf available to me because I can only read 3 books from it, so they're here. Continuing on with this shelf, however, we have Helen of Troy by Margaret George. I'm really interested in this. It's historical fiction following a woman, written by a woman. It's also Greek though, and I've had a bit of a not great time with Greek mythology recently. It did have a comeback in one of my vlogs though, so hopefully that's changed my mind and made me actually excited to read this. In a similar vein, I also have Troy by Stephen Fry. Exact same reasons. It's a queer man writing about Troy. What could I possibly want more from? But again, Greek. And I'm feeling a bit about Greco-Roman these days. Another Greek one I have on here is we have The King Must Die by Mary Renault. This is an author that I really want to try because I've heard such good things about her books. So I feel like she's someone I need to attempt. This was in my mother-in-law's house and was going to get unhauled, so I kind of saved it. This is the story of Theseus. I think it's a trilogy, if not a duology as well. And again, one that I might not keep this edition. It is a bit battered and falling apart, and I might just get the set. If I like this one, I'll see. Or if this ends in a way where I like this one but I just like it as it is and I don't need its sequel, I might keep this one. This one's a bit more up in the air, but I'm excited to give it a try, and especially excited to try this author. I have 2 Kate Moss books on here. The first one being The Taxidermist's Daughter, which is a standalone, and the other being Labyrinth, which is the first book in the Languedoc series. If I like Labyrinth, I have the sequels, so I will definitely be keeping it. If I dislike Labyrinth, then I'll be getting rid of all 3 books. With The Taxidermist's Daughter, I heard good things about it, but I have read 1 book by this author and I didn't like it, so now it's kind of put like a bit of a bummer on me wanting to read her books, and I need to overcome that. I have a couple of classics bind-ups. So I have the Once and Future King bind-up series by T.H. White, which is all 5 books in the Once and Future King series. It's Arthurian. It's what the film The Sword and the Stone is based on. I mean, it's fine. I just, haven't really gravitated towards it. It's not one that I have any particular objection to. And then we have C.S. Lewis's sci-fi series, which is the Cosmic Trilogy. And this is just because I've read so much C.S. Lewis, and while I loved Narnia growing up, he does write rather problematically. So while I love Narnia because of nostalgia, I just don't know if I'm going to feel the same way about this. And this is either YA or adult as well, so it's even older, which means it might be even preachier. I'm not gonna lie. So we'll see. It might be one that I DNF really quickly, or it might be one I end up loving. Who knows? I have 2 Penguin mythology collections. I have American Indian Stories, Legends and Other Writings by Sikula Shah. This is on this TBR because I need to prioritize it. I just haven't been gravitating towards this style of book, and I really need to, and this is to hopefully make me actually do so. The same can be said for this one. This is African Myths of Origin, another Penguins Classics collection, and it's literally just that, a collection of African myths. So I should be prioritizing these and putting these on this TBR, where there's the panic of if I don't read them, they don't get to come with me. Hopefully will push me to actually prioritize them. I have 2 Anne Rice novels, the first one being The Witching Hour, which is the first book in the Lives of the Mayfair Witches, and the other one being The Mummy, which is the first book in, I think it's the Mummy series, if not the Ramesses the Damned series. The Mummy is what the original Mummy movies are based on, but it's diverted so much from the source material. Anne Rice had her name removed from the production, and then yeah, this one is a witchy one. I really liked the first couple of Vampire Chronicles books, which were, I think, The Queen of the Damned and Interview with the Vampire. So I'm looking forward to reading more Anne Rice. I just haven't really gravitated towards her because they do tend to read quite slow and quite dense, and I just haven't been in the headspace for them. But I need to know if I like these series or not to bother taking them with me, because this one's a chonker and this one not so bad, but because I love the Mummy movies, I do just wonder if that's going to be working against the book for me. I do have a couple of like older sci-fi speculative works. I have Prey by Michael Crichton, which I think is like a thriller, horror, potentially sci-fi or something along those lines. I don't know very much about it, but I just wanted to try a Michael Crichton book, and I saw this in a charity shop and picked it up, and since then I've just had no interest in actually reading it, so I should probably give that a try or just unhaul it. And I also picked up I Sing the Body Electric by Ray Bradbury because I wanted to try Ray Bradbury's writing. I saw it in a charity shop and I thought it would be a good taste test, but again, just have never gravitated towards that, and therefore should either read it or unhaul it. I have a couple of like genre classics. I have The Magician's Guild by Trudy Canavan, which is the first book in the Black Magician trilogy. These are ones that I think are the kind of classic where YA and adult kind of overlap, so I don't know how I'm going to fare with it. It might read a bit young, we shall see. Hopefully I will love it, but I need to give it a try, and it's possible that even if I like this, I'll unhaul this copy because it's mass market, because you can get the whole trilogy series really cheaply. So it's more, I just want to try it to see if it'd be worth me buying the actual trilogy in normal size paperback at a later date. Another one I need to try is Perdido Street Station by Chana Melville. I have heard such good things about this, and he's an author I've yet to try. I know so many people that rave about this. I know that it's like a really, really important staple of the genre as well, but I've just not gravitated towards it. I've not read it, and again, this is another one that I'm just putting on here to hopefully force me to actually read it in time. I have a couple of self-pub books on here that I'd really like to maybe give a try. I have Harbinger of Justice by Andrew Watson. I had a really rough time at the beginning of 2025 with a bit of a Discord debacle that I had, and I joined Andrew's as a way of finding new community after that happened, and therefore I bought this book more out of a way of saying thank you to the author for welcoming me into his community after I had had such a rough time. But it's not one that synopsis wise actually appeals to me at all. I'm sure it's really good, it's just not one that I'm gravitating towards, and the synopsis never really pulls me in because it's just not my type of fantasy, so I keep not reading it, and I probably should give it a try. And the other self-help that I have is The Worthy by Anna K. Moss. I have heard not great things about this one from reviewers that I trust. I read the synopsis, it sounded really good, I was super excited to get to it. I got it on like a super duper mega sale where it was like £3, and then afterwards saw all the reviews and I was like, so hopefully I disagree with everyone, but obviously hearing all of those reviews has made me a little bit more hesitant to pick it up because they're people whose tastes align with mine, but hopefully I will love it and I could just strongly disagree with everyone. I have 2 books by Alistair Reynolds that I picked up again in a charity shop. Heard good things about him as a sci-fi author. Neither of the synopses are calling to me, and that's why I keep putting them off, but I have heard good things about him as a sci-fi author, and I am trying to get into more sci-fi this year, so I need to try at least one of these and see if I like it, and if I do, then I need to figure out if I want to read the other one, because I don't think they're from the same series. I think one's a standalone and one is like part of a series. I don't know. I need to try them. I'm, again, trying really hard to get into sci-fi, so getting rid of these without reading them seems rather silly. I have here also a few books that are by authors I have read before and really enjoyed. So I have Family Law by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is Elizabeth Acevedo's debut adult book. I read all of her YA, and I loved 2 out of the 3 of them with my whole heart. But my mum read this and she really wasn't fussed about it, and we used to read all of our Elizabeth Acevedo books together. So now I'm concerned that I also won't like it and keep putting it off. I also have have Amor Towels. I have read 2 of his books so far. I think Rules of Civility and the Something of Moscow. However, I have not read The Lincoln Highway, which my dad really loved, and I just haven't gotten to. I'm not gonna lie, I just haven't prioritized it, and I need to. This one potentially won't be coming with me anyway because it is my dad's book. It is just for me to read. I did recently read Antonia Fraser's Marie Antoinette and really liked it, so I would like to try and get to The Six Wives of Henry VIII, because while I really like the Marie Antoinette one, she is a historical figure I know less about, so it's whether or not I see the merit in reading this and enjoying this, because I don't know how much I'll be able to get out of it that I don't already know, because I know so much more about the Tudors. So it's whether or not this is just worth me keeping on my shelf, because if it doesn't offer anything new, I definitely won't reread it. And the last one that I have is Harlem Shuffle by Colson Whitehead. I really loved The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, but this one is set in New York City, and New York City is just not a setting that I vibe with. Also, it's not quite the same type of synopsis for me. I much prefer further back in history, but if anyone can do it, it's Colson Whitehead, so it's at least worth giving it a try. But if I don't like it, this should definitely be on someone else's shelf. I have some mythology and historical non-fiction books to get through as well. I have The Legends of Arthur by Richard Barber, which is, I think, kind of a non-fiction discussing the legends surrounding Arthur, as opposed to just telling it as a story, but I could be wrong. I am not a big Arthurian girly. I much prefer retellings, especially from the perspectives of the women, I'm not gonna lie. But I am curious, and while I own it, I might as well at least give it a try and see if it's my thing, or if I just give up on Arthur altogether. I have The Rani of Jhansi by Prince Michael of Greece. This has been on my TBR for a while, and it is depicting the Rani of Jhansi, who is a mythological figure I know absolutely nothing about. I think I'm just hesitant about it because we're getting it from the perspective of a white royal man, as opposed to from a woman whose culture is actually being depicted. But that is just a bias that I have and I need to overcome. And I also have Attila the Hun by John Mann, which is a historical non-fiction, which I need to try. I just never really prioritize my non-fictions the way I should. I have 4 fantasy or fantasy adjacent books that I picked up from my charity shop that I really want to try. I have The Court of the Air by Stephen Hunt, which is the first book in a series. It's a sort of historical urban fantasy, I believe, and I'm really excited to try it. I just haven't. Another one that I want to try is The Testament of Gideon Mack. Same thing. I have heard nothing about this. It's a historical fantasy, and it kind of, I think, critiques the church. We have The Resurrectionist by James Bradley. This is a historical Victorian or Regency, I'm not sure. Neither. Georgian story, and I think that it's going to have quite a gothic atmosphere, and I'm really excited for it, but again, just never prioritize it. And the last one I have is The Demonologist, which is one I'm least certain about. I think it's set in Venice, maybe. We're following like a professor, and he needs to kind of investigate this phenomenon, and he takes his daughter with him, and then things go awry. This is the one I'm least sure about out of these, but while I've got it, I might as well try it. I have 4 books that I've already read, but I need to reread to see if I want to continue these series. I have Diamond City, Heart of Iron, We Hunt the Flame, and Everless, all which are YA fantasies that I just don't think are for me, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I did enjoy the first book, but just never really got around to the sequels, and now I feel bad that I never got to the sequels that I own, but I can't continue the series, so I need to reread these just to see if I bother taking the sequels with me to see if I will enjoy them. And then I also have Arrow to the Moon, which is not a sequel, but it is a book by an author I've read before that I really liked, that is YA, so I thought I would put this on here because I don't know if it's going to be for me anymore, because I read the YA when I was still into YA. I have a couple of other fantasies that I just don't know if they're going to be for me. The first one is The Rivers of London, which doesn't sound like my thing. It's like a murder mystery, paranormal fantasy set in London, which just doesn't sound like my thing, but I've heard so many good things about it. I saw it in a charity shop and I've never actually read it, so either I give it a try or I unhaul it. I also have The Book of Dust by Philip Pullman, the first book, and I own the second one as well, and I've just heard not good things about the sequel series. I don't know if I want to ruin the first trilogy that I really love, or if I just want to unhaul them and pretend these don't exist. I have a few more women-centered historical fictions that I picked up because they're women-centered, and I just have never gotten around to reading, and they've been on my TBR for way too long. I have The Book of Fires by Jane Borrowdale, The Girl with the Painted Face by Gabriella Kim, Midwife of Venice by Roberta Rich, all of them being clearly very female-centric, written by women, historical fiction. I should love them, but because I never hyped to read them because I never hear about them, I just haven't. I have a couple of second chance authors on here. I have 2 Mitch Albom books, which are The 5 People You Meet in Heaven and Tuesdays with Maury. I read his other one, I can't remember what it's called, and it was fine, so I don't know if it's his writing style or if it was that particular story that didn't work for me. And then I also have The Six Tudor Queens by Alison Weir, which again, an author that I have previously disliked her work, so we'll see if this works for me a bit better. I have a load of books that aren't actually mine, and they definitely are my parents, but I am wanting to try before I move. I have a load of Louis de Bernier's books. The one that I've put on here is Birds Without Wings because it's Ottoman Empire and sounds most my thing, but I don't know. But he's an author whose prose style I'd like to try. I have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. My parents really liked this, but I don't know if it'll be my thing because it sounds a little bit like healing fiction, which is not my vibe. We have The Secret Scripture, which my dad said was really good and he thought I would like, and I've just not prioritized, and I really should. And I also have Ashes of London, which is a historical murder mystery, which is not normally my thing, but I do love CJ Sampson and he's blurbed this, so I'm gonna have to trust him, aren't I? Talking of historical murder mysteries, I also have Inquisition by Alfredo Colito and The Sweet Smell of Decay by Paul Lawrence, which again, not normally my thing, but they sounded very CJ Sampson coded, so I thought I'd give them a try. Another few charity shop finds we have The Garden of Evening Mists by Tan Tuan Eng, which sounds beautiful but might be a little bit too whimsical for my personal taste, especially for historical fiction instead of fantasy. We have The Beekeeper's Apprentice, which is a kind of like Sherlock Holmes sequel, which I don't know if I like, but it sounded fun, and we're following like a female apprentice. It sounds a little bit Enola Holmes coded, so I'm hoping I'll like it. And then I have the entire War of the Roses trilogy by Con Igwedon, the first book being Stormbird. This is again, because I own the series, I'd like to try the first book, see if I like it, so that I can then see if I bother taking the entire trilogy with me. I have 4 Frederick Backman books, and my parents have another one. My parents love this man. I've read his Beartown series and really loved it, and I've read his novellas, but I've not read any of his non-Beartown novels before, so I'd like to try at least one before I go. My dad wasn't a huge fan of Anxious People, but loved all of the others. I just want to try one of them, really, see what I end up getting to, see how I fare with it, and then if I like it, they are my parents' books, so I should be able to just like borrow them from my parents as and when I need to, so I don't need to haul them all over to Scotland with me. A couple of books I picked up because of the author. We have The Long Earth by Terry Pratchett, which I've since heard terrible things about and now no longer want to read, but also don't really want to unhaul without trying it because I'm so curious about how it's so bad. And then I also have Dark Witch by Nora Roberts. I also have the rest of the books in the trilogy, and it's again just one that I liked reading. A couple of Nora Roberts ones, they're very easy to get through, and the synopsis sounded good. My friend gifted it to me, but I have not actually gravitated towards reading. I actually did start and then stop reading it in a vlog recently, but that was just because of my mood, I think, so I'm willing to give it another try, but if it doesn't come up before I leave, then it goes. I have a couple of books that I am just unsure if I'm going to like them. I have the rest of the Earth Children series by Jean M. Auel, the second book being The Valley of the Horses, because I really wasn't that fussed about the first one. It was fine, but I didn't love it, so either I read this one or just unhaul the whole series. It just depends on whether it comes up or not. I'm not pressed at this point. And I also have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I wasn't as fussed about House in the Cerulean Sea as everyone else seems to be, so I just don't know if TJ Klune's not for me. So it's more like I will try this one, see if I like it. If I do, then I can give TJ Klune another shot. If not, then I'll just leave it be. And then the final 3 are all a little bit miscellaneous. I have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I've heard a lot of good things about this from people who love romance. Doesn't sound like my thing. I think I'm going to hate it, but it was in a charity shop for £1 and I'd heard such good things. I thought, well, I might as well at least give it a go. But if I don't give it a go before I leave, then I don't really care and I'll just never think about it again. I have Shuggy Bane by Douglas Stewart. I bought this for my dad because I'd heard good things about it and he found it too depressing. So now I'm a bit hesitant to pick it up myself because it does sound really depressing. It is set in Glasgow though, which is where I have been recently and I'm planning on moving near to. So I am kind of curious to see, but at the same time a little bit not in the right headspace to be reading such a depressing book. So we'll see how I fare. And then the very last one, I think it's the last one. The very last one we have to talk about today is The Servants by M.M. Smith. I hear that this is a little bit like a murder mystery Downton Abbey, which sounds good. My nan liked it. She wanted my thoughts on it. She's probably forgotten about it now, but oh well. I'll give it a go, see how I fare. But there you have it. These are all of the books that are on my either read it or unhaul it series, and we'll see which ones I end up getting to and which ones just get unhauled without being read. It's the way the cookies crumbled. Let me know if you've read any of these and your thoughts on them. Let me know if, based on my interest in these, you have either recommendations from these authors or just books that do these things better. I'd always love to know. Chat to me down below. But that's all from me for today. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll hopefully catch you in another one soon.